Hey, good afternoon, YouTube. This is JBit Fragrance Reviews. I just want to come and explain. It's been a while since I've released a video here on YouTube. I've been very active on Instagram still over the last several months, but I just want to say thank you to everybody who over the last couple months have subscribed to my channel. Also, the comments and the views, I really do appreciate that. I just feel like you all need an explanation about where I have been over the last couple months. Even though I have been active on Instagram at jbitfragrance_reviews, but I just haven't really been active here on YouTube as often. First off, I just want to say thank you so much to Solano, who's reached out multiple times asking when I am going to be releasing another video. I really do appreciate communication like that, and Solano's been an up and coming reviewer over the last couple months, and I really do appreciate the videos that he puts out. I'm not trying to make excuses for where I've been, but things have been really busy with me. As some of you know, and most of you probably do not know, I am actually finishing up my bachelor's degree right now in psychology. So that's been taking up a lot of my time. This has been about 10 years, over 10 years in the making, trying to finish up my degree. So that's where I've been. I'm scheduled to graduate in a couple months with my psychology degree, and I'm hoping I get into a grad school, very soon. The second reason, I just felt like I could never get a hang of editing videos, which going forward, any other videos that I'm going to make from now on, I'm not going to focus on, editing. It's just a little too much stress and anxiety for me. I'm just not good with computers like that, and I really don't have the time to sit there and painstakingly edit videos. And I've tried different apps on the computer, on my phone, different software, and unfortunately it's just a little too complicated for me at this time. I'm not saying, that I'm never gonna edit videos. I'm just gonna, sorry about that. I'm just gonna practice a little more with that. Diving into this video, I just want to talk about a lot of the fragrances that I have been wearing over the past several months, from fall into winter. This is definitely not, a complete list of mine. There's other fragrances that could be on this list, but these are ones that I really feel like I have been reaching out for, very often this winter. I have a mix of, a couple designer fragrances and mostly our niche fragrances. So it's not going to be in any order, but I will be, probably keep the designers ones together. It shouldn't be any surprise to you who follow me on Instagram for some of these fragrances. So it's not going to be an in-depth review of all these fragrances. I'm just going to briefly talk about it and what I get out of it. So the first fragrance is from the House of Mugler. It's one of the Amen flankers, and this one is Cryptomint. I've been on a very big mint kick over the last several years for spring and summer fragrances. I know Cryptomint, people wear this more often in the spring and in the summer, but I've been really enjoying mint. I can't get enough of mint fragrances in my collection. I have several mints that I'm hoping to bring out sometime within the next several months to talk to you about. Some of you on Instagram have seen some of it. I usually like to wear mint-based fragrances or summer-based fragrances at night right before bed, during the colder months. It kind of helps me gives me a little bit of joy and happiness, while the weather's outside is very cold. So going back to Cryptomint, this really has like the patchouli, mint, some vanilla fragrance, portions of this fragrance. To me, the opening really smells like mint chocolate chip ice cream, which is one of my favorite ice creams of all times. This is very creamy. That mint, it's not, I wouldn't say it's like a peppermint or a spearmint. It might be a couple mixtures of different mints. I'm really not quite sure, but this is one that I really have been enjoying lately. So the next two fragrances that I will be talking about do come from the Amen line. Both of these are flankers. The original Amen doesn't rank too high on my list. I don't really pull that out too often. I'm really not sure what it is. I do like that tar note, but there's a lot of other fragrances that I reach for more often. So the next one is a flanker of Amen, like I said, and that is Pure Malt. Pure Malt is one that I have definitely fell in love with this winter. I definitely cannot get enough of this. This is more of like a fruity, woody, boozy fragrance that, it does really get a lot of compliments. That's not why I wear fragrances personally, but this does garnish a lot of compliments. Even hours after I spray this on and I can't smell it, people can tell, is this one of the Amen, it still has that Amen DNA. So I get asked about that quite often. So the last designer fragrance on this list is, again, like I said, another Amen flanker, and that is Pure Havane. Pure Havane is a fragrance that I've had for several years now. And, I really did enjoy it when it first came out. I wore it, multiple days of the week. And, once I started getting into niche fragrances, it's kind of went into the back of, my cabinet. I never really reached for it too often. So this winter I brought it out again. I love this one. I get that patchouli, wonderful, like almost like a honey tobacco note with some, there's no cherry listed, but I do get a little bit of that cherry, almost like a cherry honey tobacco. Not quite a pipe tobacco or a cigar tobacco, but this is a very nice fragrance. I've heard this compared to other fragrances. I haven't really tested those fragrances, so I can't personally say if it is. One of those fragrances is Xerjoff Naxos, I believe. I've smelled that once from a sample, so I need to test that a little more, because if it smells anything like this, I would definitely pick that up. So those of you who follow me on Instagram know that I have been on this smoky fragrance kick for the last several months. Now, there's every fragrance out there that's smoky. I've really come to, want to smell more of it. So the next fragrance on my list is actually from the House of Le Labo, and that is Patchouli 24. Now, Patchouli 24 for me is, I apologize, things are backwards on this video. I just noticed that right now. But Patchouli 24 is, such an incredible fragrance. And I feel like the House of Le Labo, a lot of their fragrances, they do, like the bergamot, a lot of more fresh fragrances. There another 13 fragrance made my list over the summer as one of the top worn fragrances. And that one I had gotten so many compliments that just kind of blew me away, and probably still is my most complimented fragrance of all times in my collection. But Patchouli 24 does something very different, in my opinion. And I feel like, a lot of their fragrances are very safe, and I do own a couple of them. But Patchouli 24 is a very, a deep, on the darker side, very smoky fragrance. Some people have compared this to the smell of, barbecued meats, which I can kind of see where they're coming from with that. But, as this dries down, the vanilla and the smoke starts to die down, it really becomes a fantastic vanilla-based fragrance towards the end there. This one lasts forever on my skin. So if you have this or you're looking to try this, be very light on the trigger. It's one that, has really blown me away in these cooler months. And I just can't get enough of that. And when winter is over, I am really going to miss wearing that. So the next fragrance on my list is another smoky fragrance that I am fortunate to have been able to get a bottle of this before it was discontinued. There was only a certain number of these ever made, and I believe it was about a month or two ago they officially sold out of all of them. And so this is called Winter Nights from Decene, I believe it's Decene, that's how you say it, Fragrances. To me, this is really a mixture of, if you're into the House of Imaginary Authors, A City on Fire, and I believe it's Cape Heartache. Cape Heartache with that, the pine tree, strawberry smell, and A City on Fire with that dark match, burnt smelling. If you would take both of those fragrances, but take out that strawberry note and Cape Heartache, that is what this fragrance really does remind me of. This is very smoky, very resinous. It's definitely not something that I really pull out too often. You really do get that pine tree note in there, which I love. And then that very smoky, campfire smell. And it really does remind me of a winter night, sitting by a fireplace. So next up on my list is none other than Clutch from Perfumology. Thank you, Near, for this fragrance. This is such an incredible creation that you made, with the help of the perfumer. This really blows me away. Clutch is one of those fragrances that I could really see myself wearing all year round. I don't really wear this on the extremely cold days. We had a couple of them here in the Northeast United States over the last couple of weeks. But on those warmer days where it's about 30, 40, 50s, even into the 60s, I pull this out. Now, it's a very different take, in my opinion, of a leather fragrance. There's some ginger in here that kind of brightens this up a little bit. This is what I would love, like the inside of my car to smell like. I don't know, it just reminds me of like maybe an Italian sports car, the interior that's brand new. This is really a special fragrance that, I wear this as much as I can. It's almost like a comfort scent to me. If I'm just having a rough day, I'll just put a spray of this on my hand or my wrist, and I'll smell this throughout the day. So if you haven't smelled Perfumology's Clutch yet, I would definitely check that out. Contact Near, an amazing guy, amazing owner of an amazing store called Perfumology here in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So definitely check him out on Instagram, Facebook, internet. Give him a call at the store. You won't regret it. So then one of the next fragrances that I want to talk about is, this is sort of in the same vein as Patchouli 24 and Winter Nights. It's kind of comforting scents for me. And the next one is from Maison Margiela from the Replica line. And this is By the Fireplace. This is a fragrance that both myself and my wife love to wear. It's a slightly smoky fragrance, but I get a lot of that roasted chestnut in this fragrance. And this is beyond comfort scent for me. You know, it reminds me of, you know, cold winter nights or days, you know, when I was younger, sitting by a fire and, you know, reading a book or whatever, which I don't do too often now. But this is definitely, you know, if you're afraid of smoky scents, don't be afraid of this fragrance. It's not overly smoky. There is some sweetness to it that I really do enjoy. Moving on to the next one is Rosé All Day from Gallagher Fragrances. For me, you know, another type of fragrances that I love is, you know, spiced apple or like apple pie fragrances, or in this case, it's an apple crisp. It also has plum in it, which I love plum fragrances. This comes out as, you know, a very sweet, you know, dessert-like fragrance. I definitely get some of that wine in here, going off of the rosé, which is a type of wine. Gallagher Fragrances really did a great job with this. This is one that I absolutely love. It kind of, to me, in the same vein as Ombre Narguilé from Hermes, which I used to own that years ago. I always regret selling my bottle of that. But I really love this fragrance because it reminds me in some aspects of that, almost like an apple dessert. And, you know, this is one that I have received tons of compliments with, and it's something that me and my wife both love and enjoy to wear. So moving on is another fragrance that, you know, I've really do enjoy wearing, and this is a beast of a fragrance, and that is none other than Mancera's Hindu Kush. Hindu Kush, for me, there's a story. A lot of you remember Chris from Mr. Siage, who passed away in August. I knew Chris for several years now outside of the fragrance community. So actually, a couple weeks before he passed away, I had the privilege of hanging out with him for the weekend. We went down to King of Prussia, went to Perfumology, and we were so excited to try Hindu Kush. For me personally, I've been looking for the best cannabis, marijuana, you know, base fragrance out there. I've smelled a lot of them that have been released. There's some that I still want to check out. The funny thing with when Chris and myself went to Perfumology to smell this, we had spent about 3 hours smelling different fragrances at Neiman Marcus and a couple other stores. By the time we got to Perfumology, we sprayed this on and couldn't smell anything. You know, it's like, well, what a ripoff this was. You know, we've been looking forward to this for a couple weeks. We had, you know, texted each other, called each other about this release, and we were very disappointed when we first smelled it. The reason why we didn't smell anything is because of the nose fatigue. I had probably sprayed this about 5 times on my skin, still couldn't smell anything. We ended up going home a couple hours later, and my wife smelled me as soon as I walked through the door. She could smell me from 20 feet away. It's that strong. So be careful when you pull this one out, because this one or two sprays is what I do max, depending where I'm going to be at. And the cannabis, it's more of a cannabis vibe for me. I don't pick up that specific cannabis note. But everything working together does kind of turn dank. It starts off very bright, and as the fragrance transitions, it does become a little dank, a little darker, a little warmer with the woods and all those notes coming together. So it does give off a vibe of cannabis, even though I don't really pick it up, to be honest with you. The last fragrance I do want to talk about, unfortunately, I only have a sample. This is a new fragrance. Again, you know, reach out to Perfumology. It's where I got this sample at. And that is none other than Green Bubble from Juicebox. It's a this brand has been going around for the last couple weeks. I know Perfumology just got, their fragrances in their store. But this is what I think of when I think of a cannabis-based fragrance. When I first spray this on my skin, it comes off, at least on my skin, almost like that, the little, if you ever been near somebody who was smoking weed and, it's on their clothes and it does come off like a little bit like body odor. But in a good way with this fragrance. That's just the opening. It dries down a little bit after about 5 minutes. That body odor smell drifts away, and what I'm left with is not a dark and not a light fragrance. It's somewhere in the middle. I would compare this to Black Afgano from Nasamato. But it's not as dark and deep and resinous as that fragrance. Actually, with Black Afgano, I really don't get too much cannabis, where in Green Bubble, I do. So this is definitely a fragrance that I'm looking forward to purchasing a full bottle. I really want this so bad because I love cannabis-based fragrances. So that's all I have for you today. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for tuning in. This video I know is a little long, but just thank you for the support over the last couple months. Just thank you to Near at Perfumology and Solano. I really do appreciate all your help over the last couple months and checking in on me. Until next time, I hope everybody has a great day, and great week, and a great rest of the month. Take care.